Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Sammy. The last video, I asked you guys a question. I put it out there. Is the grind, is the sheer amount of content in 0.5 too much for the casual player? Is grinding gear games alienating a part of the player base with how much they've thrown at us? And man, did you guys not disappoint? Over 435 comments. Now that's a lot for this small channel of mine, and I gotta say, I read every single one of them. I mean it, I read every one of them, just because they were so interesting. And here's the thing, you guys just didn't answer the question. A bunch of you provided some insight. Some of you corrected me respectfully, but a lot of interesting comments. Now, because I asked, is this too much content? What a lot of you actually told me is, that's not really the question, Sammy. The question isn't how much content there is, it's whether the game actually teaches you how to use it. And once I started reading through these comments, I couldn't unsee this theme. So that's what this video is about today. I'm going to go through what you guys actually said, because there were some really thoughtful comments in there. Really good stuff. Way better than what I usually get in the comment section, to be honest with you. And I want to give it an actual discussion it deserves. So let's get to it. All right, so first, let's tackle the easy part. The overwhelming majority of you agreed with the base premise. This is the best state Path of Exile 2's ever been in. Nobody really didn't argue that point with me. There were a lot of positive comments, and that one was the most that shone through all the comments, that overwhelmingly the majority you've agreed this is a W of a patch. And what I love, genuinely love, is how many of you came in and said, hey, I'm a dad gamer. Hey, I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 30s, I'm in my 50s. One guy came in and said he grew up playing Diablo 2 and basically said, look, I'm not mad. I don't feel alienated. I know I'm not finishing everything this league, and I'm okay with that. That to me tells you the framing of the original question was already halfway there. It's not that people feel excluded from the game. It's that people have made peace with playing at their own speed, which, by the way, if you remember from my last video, that was basically my whole closing point. Go at your own pace, get the FOMO out of your head. So that part, good, we're aligned. But that's not where the interesting stuff was. The interesting stuff was in what people said was actually stopping them. And surprisingly, it wasn't about the grind or the amount of hours players had to dedicate to complete the end game. Okay, this is the one topic I want to spend real time on, because this is where you guys actually changed my mind a little bit on some stuff. Most repeated theme in over the 435 comments on my last video, not even close. This is the number one theme. People aren't quitting because the so-called 200 hours is a scary number that you need to dedicate in order to complete the end game. They're quitting because they don't know what to do with the currency once they have it. I'm going to explain. Now, one of the commenters put it at about as bluntly as anyone can. He had over 1,300 hours in the game, and he said he didn't actually start to get crafting until 300 or 400 hours into PoE 2. 1,300 hours, and he flat out said, crafting isn't really crafting, it's gambling for the rich. Another commenter said, he's about 1,000 hours in, described this split perfectly. Trade League feels almost too easy. Buy some gear, instantly running tier 15s and 16s. But the second he tried SSF, he hits what he called a massive brick wall, because he doesn't have the crafting depth, and he's not about to read a thesis paper to understand crafting. So here's the question I actually want to sit on with this topic. Why do some players understand the crafting system inside and out, and other players, guys leaving genuine, thoughtful comments on my channel, feel completely locked out of it? Is it a skill issue? Or is it access to currency? Or is it both? We're going to explore. Because I found comments backing all three theories. One commenter pushed back hard on the "it's just inflation" argument, said with less than 10 days in the league, he's already sitting on 300 divines. Wow. And a real build. And the actual difference is discipline, he said. Stop chasing every upgrade, commit to one farming strategy, grind it for a week or two. Another commenter made the opposite case, laid out the actual math, showing how an item's value can jump from a few exalts to hundreds of divine with nothing in between. So normal play just feels worthless by comparison. And another commenter, pushed back on both, saying you don't even need mirror tiered gear to clear content. Most of that pressure is coming from streamer culture, not the game itself. I'll let that streamer comment slide. Here's where I land. And this is a genuine shift from my last video. I think it's both time and currency, and they feed each other. The players who craft confidently aren't just more skilled. Well, they are in some cases, in some abstract way. They put in enough hours to earn enough currency to actually gamble on crafts, fail, and try again. That's reps, that's exposure. Every time they fail a craft, they learn something about the system because they had the currency to afford failing in the first place. A newer or more casual player doesn't get that luxury. Every currency piece feels too precious to risk on a craft that might not work. So they never build that intuition. It's not that casual players are worse at the game. It's that the system only teaches you if you can afford to lose. So the real question isn't, is there too much content? It's, does GGG let you learn crafting without punishing you for trying? Right now, for a lot of you that left comments in my last video, the answer is no. So if the real wall is being able to afford to fail, that's where SSF gets interesting, which was another theme in all the comments. Because SSF takes away the one thing that usually saves you when crafting goes wrong. In trade, you brick a craft, fine, go buy the piece instead. In SSF, there's no buying your way out. Whatever you can't craft, you don't get. Period. I had a 41-year-old dad gamer make a comment. He's been playing since PoE2's early access launch, switched to SSF this season after preferring trade for the first 4 leagues. Over the last 4 weeks, he said he slept way too little and played way too much. Amen. And he still maxed out only 3 of the mechanic-specific Atlas trees: Abyss, Ritual, and Breach. His general Atlas tree is sitting at around 180 points. He needs 3 specific rings just to craft the item he's chasing, and he hasn't found a single one. His actual conclusion, in his words, was that there's basically no real game mode for players like him. Trade feels like a second job checking prices, and SSF is too non-deterministic for someone with minimal hours a night. Another comment lived out exactly the pattern he just described. Started in SSF and switched to trade about a week later, specifically because he couldn't find or craft the gear he needed. So there's a direct line here. The same crafting legibility problem from what I mentioned earlier hits twice as hard in SSF because there's no safety net to fall back on when it beats you. And then there's another commenter who's a good example of the opposite failure. He tried trade, got priced out, and demoralized watching other players reach tier 15 in 4 hours through what he strongly suspects is RMT activity. So he switched to SSF and burned out there too, calling it a slog. That drained him. He landed in neither mode. So here's the actual tension when I look at all these comments around SSF and crafting and all that jazz. And I think I had it backwards a while back. Nobody's out here thinking SSF is the easy mode. Everybody knows going into that, no trade means no safety net. You earn everything through drops or nothing. That's the whole appeal. Like the gentleman who left a comment and he said he was tired of checking trade prices instead of playing the game. What SSF is actually pitched as is the mode that removes market stress. No inflation, no FOMO, watching prices double, no wondering if you're getting outpaced by RMT. That's a real and valid reason to choose it. But here's the part that I think that doesn't get talked about enough. There were several comments made from viewers that suggested avoiding market stress just trades it for a different problem. You now need real crafting fluency to survive because there's no plan B when a craft goes wrong. And that's the exact skill currency combo from my previous segment that players who've built that fluency did it through hundreds of hours of being able to afford failed craft. A newer or more casual SSF player doesn't have that cushion. So SSF isn't harder in a vague sense. It's specifically harder in that one area, crafting confidence, that casual players are least likely to have built up. That's the actual design tension worth flagging, not that SSF is secretly meant to be hard or easy. All right, shorter topic, but one a lot of you brought up this unprompted, and it's actually the most fixable one on the whole list. Most people complained about the Atlas passive tree grind, then complained about the campaign. Let that sink in for a second, because the campaign was basically part of the premise of my last video, and you guys are telling me it's not even the top issue. One commenter said, the grind for the individual mechanic trees, ritual, breach, that kind of thing is fine. But the general Atlas points specifically are excessive and thinks maps should give more points per map. One commenter said almost the same thing, calling repeating the Atlas grind every league a tedious chore he's dreading already. And one commenter is dealing with straight up bad luck on top of it. Got 3 matriarch hauls in a row, trying to refight the Arbiter of Divinity in SSF, said it's Citadels all over again. Now, here's the thing, and I want to be transparent about this because it changes the conversation a little. You don't actually have to grind out every point in the slow way, and I'm sure many of you already know this, but I do want to mention it just in case you don't. I did this myself, this strategy. If you rush the fortress early and beat the Arbiter of Divinity, I believe it's 6 times you got to kill him to get the 300 plus Atlas points. That alone gets you all the 300 plus Atlas points. It's still a grind, don't get me wrong, but it's a much more direct one than farming maps for straight points every week. And if you got the currency, you can actually skip a chunk of that farming too. You need a Origin Cradle and an Origin Spark. You take that to Doriani, they combine it. They give you the Origin Cora. You put that and you fight Divinity and you rinse and repeat that. And you get to, after you fight Divinity, you get to choose a section of the fortress. It auto completes 30 to 40 maps in that zone and it gives you all the associated points with it. So it's the quickest way to get your Atlas points done. If you got the currency, you can actually skip that farming. When I was grinding the fortress the first 2 weeks of the league, those two items that I mentioned, the Cradle and the Spark, they were running anywhere from 1 to 5 divine each. Now I haven't checked it in a while because I completed my passive points, but there's a real option there if you would rather buy your way out of it than fight and farm for it. So just FYI. Now, the reason I bring this up is the payoff is genuinely worth prioritizing. I can't stress this enough. The passive buffs from a completed Atlas tree are that strong for mapping. More juice, better drops. I'd argue rushing Divinity early is one of the highest value things a player can do in this league, casual or not. So here's my actual prediction, still standing from before, but sharpened a little bit. I don't think GGG needs to hand out more Atlas points from regular maps like many commenters suggested. I think the fix is making the Divinity Rush, the Fortress Rush, the path more visible and less currency gated, if possible. So more players know it exists and can actually use it without needing 10 plus divines banked first. Now, I personally want to end this segment by saying the following. I think it was pretty clear by Grinding Gear Games that they mentioned it in the reveal that you could rush the fortress. There was a path to get the auto completion of maps and quicker of the 300 plus Atlas points by rushing the fortress boss. So that was communicated, but clearly not everybody, those comments didn't resonate with everyone. But I do think they are going to address this before 1.0. Okay, I said this in my last video. Don't even bring this up. Campaign skip, it's not happening. Get it out of your system. And you guys brought it up anyway. Respect, honestly. So let me actually engage with this time instead of just shutting it down. One commenter laid out the strongest version I saw. Not let me skip the campaign entirely, but let me skip it after I've already earned it once. He pointed out how Diablo 4 does it. Full campaign once, then on later characters you can skip it, usually with a slightly reduced reward, like fewer skill points, so it's not just free. I'll be honest, that's a fair middle ground, and it's one I've heard before, and it actually connects back to everything we just talked about. This whole video has been about players earning, understanding, and progress through reps, crafting confidence through failed attempts, Atlas completions through the Divinity Rush. A one-time earned campaign skip fits that same logic. You proved you can do it once, so the game trusts you a little more the second time. That's different from just handing it to you for free. But I got to say, I still land where I was. I don't think Grinding Gear Games does this because the campaign is so tied to how they teach you to build your build, your class, your kit, especially early on when a lot of skills don't come online until you're deep into the axe. But I'll admit, there's more reasonable ask than I gave it credit for last time, but I'm still a no campaign skip guy. So, in closing, here's where I land after going through all of the 435 plus comments. I don't think PoE2 is alienating casual players by having too much content. I said that on my last video, and I still believe it. But what you guys taught me is that the actual barrier isn't the size of the game, it's whether the game lets you earn understanding of crafting, of the Atlas, of your own build, without punishing you too hard for trying. Crafting's the clearest example. SSF makes that problem sharper because there's no safety net. And even something as fixable as the Atlas grind turns out to have a faster path already sitting in the game. Most people just don't know it's there. So here's what I want from you guys this time. If Grinding Gear Games could only fix one of these before 1.0, and I'll reiterate them, making crafting more legible, understanding, giving SSF some kind of safety net, or just making routes like the Divinity Rush more visible to new players, which one actually gets you playing more? Put it in the comments. I want to see where the votes land, because I might actually turn that into a follow-up. All right, everybody, that's it for today. Appreciate every single one of you who left a comment on the last video. Seriously, that was one of the best discussions I've had on this channel in a while. If you're new here, hit the sub button. Come catch me live on Twitch and YouTube every evening. Links in the description. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care. The opinions expressed in this video are mine and solely mine. Healthy debate is always encouraged. Hate is never welcomed. So get over it.